Hello, this is Nick with nickscomputerfix.com, and here's a video on how to make a Windows 10 bootable flash drive and install Windows 10 with it. It's a fresh install and it's free and easy. Now I'm going to go ahead and insert a flash drive into an open USB port on my laptop. Now keep in mind the minimum size of the flash drive needs to be 8 gigabytes or more, and more is okay. Windows 10 procedure here in creating a bootable Windows 10 USB flash drive will format the flash drive for you, but it's been my experience in the past that sometimes it causes errors and doesn't quite work correctly, and then I have to start all over again. So I like to format it ahead of time, and that's what I recommend that you do as well. Also keep in mind that if you have any files that you need to keep, go ahead and copy those over to another hard drive, or don't worry about it and go out to the Microsoft website here, and this is the URL link, and I'll leave that in my description. Now you can do two things here. You can either update now, which is your first option right here, but we don't want to do that. We want the second option here, download tool now. Now this allows you to download a tool which will allow you to install the Windows 10 media on a USB flash drive. And in Firefox it asked me to save the file, and I did. And if I go up here on the download arrow, I can see, and you can as well, that it didn't take long to download this little tool, the media creation tool, for version 1909. And once I click on it and execute it, it goes and tells me that it's getting things ready, and then there's a license agreement that I need to accept, and I go ahead and click on accept, and it tells me getting a few things ready once again. And once that is completed, I am then prompted with a question: what do you want to do? And by default it says upgrade this PC now. That is not what we want. We want the second option, create installation media, USB flash drive, DVD, or ISO file for another PC. So go ahead and select that and then click on next. Then we're prompted to select a language, architecture, and edition, and by default this is good unless you want to change your language or another option there. Go ahead and click on next, and then I'm prompted to choose which media to use. Now by default is USB flash drive, and that's the one we want, so that's good. And I'm going to go ahead down here and click on next. Now here is select a USB flash drive. Now you could have more than one USB flash drive installed on your computer here. I only have one, but I'm going to go ahead and select it anyway. And once you do have it selected and highlighted, go ahead and click on next. Now keep in mind I formatted this ahead of time, so I don't need to worry about it being formatted. If you did not format your flash drive ahead of time, it will go ahead and format it for you, and most of the time it does work okay and does not give you any errors. But again, it's been my experience, like I mentioned earlier, that sometimes it won't format it correctly, and then I get an error and it doesn't work and I have to start all over again. So I do recommend going ahead and formatting your flash drive ahead of time before starting this. Okay, as you can see, it's downloading Windows 10, and it says feel free to keep on using your PC. Now keep in mind that this can take anywhere from 10 minutes to a multitude of hours to complete, and there are no other prompts that you have to answer, so you could walk away and come back in a couple of hours if you choose to see if it's going to be ready to be used. Or you can sit here and go grab yourself a cup of coffee and watch it, or use your PC, or even get a bowl of ice cream and enjoy the entertainment of watching it download and create your media for you. Now I went ahead and verified the download, and now it's creating my Windows 10 media. So basically it's installing the Windows 10 files right on my USB flash drive at this point, And once that's completed, which does take a while as well, so keep that in mind, it'll go ahead and tell me that my USB flash drive is now ready for use. And the last thing that I need to do is click on Finish. All right, we now have a Windows 10 bootable USB flash drive that will allow us to install Windows 10 on any computer that we would like to. And of course, don't forget to remove the flash drive from the computer once you are done. Okay, let's go ahead and move to part 2 of this video, installing Windows 10 on a computer with the bootable flash drive that we created in part 1. And now, as you can see, I'm inserting this Windows 10 bootable flash drive into an empty USB port on this laptop computer here. Now keep in mind, this laptop computer, prior to this video, I installed a brand new SSD drive into it that has no operating system, and I'll show you how to do that in another video. But this one here, we're going to focus on how to install Windows 10 on this computer with no operating system installed on the SSD. Now the second thing that we want to do after inserting the USB flash drive into an empty USB port is to make sure that we are not running on battery. And that means we need to plug the laptop charger plug into the charging port here and make sure that we are definitely running off of AC power. And then of course we power the laptop on and give this a few seconds to attempt to boot from the bootable flash drive. Now in this case, it says no bootable device because it was unsuccessful in booting up from the USB flash drive. Now the solutions can be several here. When it's powering up, you want to go ahead and press F12 or F9 to get into the boot menu to allow for the USB flash drive to be used as the bootable device. Now it could be different on your computer, and if it is, you might have to go out and research on the internet to discover which key that works for you to get into your boot menu. Now even if you do press the F12 or F9 or another key that gets you into the boot menu, you may still get no bootable device, which would be a good indicator that the boot menu is not enabled on this computer. So we would have to go into the BIOS, and the way that we go about doing that on this computer is pressing the power button and holding down the delete key or the F2 key at the same time and then releasing it, and we can go ahead and see that the BIOS will come up on our laptop computer here, which will allow us to enable the boot menu. Now keep in mind, I'm not going to go ahead and show you how to do that in this video because laptop computers and desktop computers, they all have a lot of different BIOS programs that are running, different versions, and they all are slightly different, and they show you a different way to enable the boot menu. Now one thing I did want to point out is that you can also, if you're running in legacy mode versus the UEFI mode, that you need to just adjust the boot order so that the USB flash drive boots up first. Now the laptop computer restarted after I exited out of the BIOS, and it gave me the no bootable device. At this point I'm going to go ahead and press F12, which will take me into my boot menu, and since my flash drive is set for booting up first, when I hit F12 it takes me right into the very first prompt for Windows 10's setup. And from here I can go ahead and install Windows 10 onto my new SSD drive that presently does not have a operating system installed on it. So here I'm going to go ahead and take the default, so you can customize it if you like, and I'll click on next. And once I do, I get the install now, and I click on that. Setup is starting, and then I'll get the Microsoft license terms prompt here, and I'm going to put a check mark here, and then I'll click on next, and then I get a choice: upgrade or a fresh install. I'm going to select the second one here because I want a fresh install. And as you can see, I have a empty drive here, so I'm going to go ahead and click on next, which in turn gives me this prompt here, and it tells me it's installing Windows, copying Windows files, installing features, installing updates, and the last thing, finishing up. So this process here, depending on the speed and performance of your computer, can take a couple of minutes or longer. So keep that in mind. It could take a good 30 or 40 minutes depending on the speed of your computer. And through the magic of video editing, this whole installation of Windows 10 on this laptop will be speed up, and therefore keep in mind that it could very well take a lot longer installing Windows on your computer, even several hours if your internet speed is slow. Okay, it's restarting Windows to continue its process of installing. And don't be too concerned if your screen stays black for up to a minute or two during the restart. That's normal. And then it says starting services, getting devices ready, getting ready again. And then the next sequence of prompts will be popping up here shortly. That will allow you to customize the Windows installation to your liking. And basically the first one is Cortana here. And also, as you notice, I turned the speaker off because I didn't want to hear any beeps or responses or prompts from Windows during the installation personally, but you could leave that on. And then it says let's start with region, and then you certainly choose your country. Mine happens to be in the United States, so the default is good, and I'll click on yes. Just a moment, is this the right keyboard layout? And I'm going to click on yes. And want to add a second keyboard? Not really, so I'll skip this. And then it'll tell me just a moment. And let's connect you to a network. Now, this network is your local Wi-Fi network that you normally connect your computers up to. And in my case, it happens to be Skylab. And I have Skylab 5 here that I'm going to connect to. And I'm going to type the password in. Let me go ahead and finish that and click on next, and it'll attempt to connect, and hopefully it will, and it has, and life is good. So I'm happy with this, and I'll go ahead and click on next again. Just a moment. Now we have some important setup to do, and this takes a few moments, and then we'll get the next prompt. What's new in Windows? Just a moment, and then you are prompted to sign in with Microsoft with a valid Microsoft account, and if you don't have one, you need to create one. Now, it used to be in older versions of Windows 10 during the install you could create a local account, but you can't anymore. So you have to go ahead and type in a valid one, and once you do, click on next, and then type in the password. And let me see if I can remember my Microsoft account password. I'm pretty sure I can. And I'll find out if I typed in the correct one or not here. And let me click on next. And evidently I did type in the correct one. And I am being prompted to create a PIN now. And that works for me. And I'm going to go through here really quick and create one. It's not too hard to do. I like pins better than passwords. They're easier to remember, and it works really well for me. So I'm glad that we can set up pin numbers to log into Microsoft these days. Alright, that's done, and you can go through here and definitely make it happen. Once it's done, you get do more across devices with active history, and you can go ahead and read that little message there. So if you want to see your history, on all your devices, go ahead and say yes. If you don't, say no. And I'm going to click on no for right now because I don't want to see my history on multiple devices. Okay, get instant access to your Android phone's photos, texts, notifications, and more. Okay, and then just a moment, back up your files with OneDrive, and only save files to this PC is the one I like, but you can do the cloud if you like. And then just a moment, and then we are prompted for make the most of your 365 with a free Microsoft 365 trial. And a lot of people like this, so if you want to, definitely try the trial out. It doesn't cost you anything. Okay, get help from your digital assistant, and this is definitely your choice. If you don't want it, disable it or whatever, and then choose privacy settings for your device. Now, personally, I like to turn all of these off during the installation. You could just leave them on if you like, but I recommend turning them off. And if you want any of these individually turned back on, you can always go back into settings once Windows is installed and change that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move forward here and accept that, and then just a moment, and then Cortana wants to talk to me again to inform me that it is almost finished installing Windows and getting a few things polished up, and then I get the hi in the middle of a black screen, and that stays there for a second. We're getting everything ready for you. This might take several minutes. I've been known to see this take a good 20 minutes on some really slow laptops, so keep that in mind. Leave everything to us. Don't turn off your PC, which is an excellent point to point out here. Almost there, and we are finished. We have installed Windows on this laptop computer on a blank SSD, and it says welcome to the future of Windows, and certainly discover what's new and help shape what's next. So go through these tutorials, these short things here. They're definitely worthwhile if you've never used Windows 10 before, and learn how to use some of the features. Okay, Windows 10 has been completely and fully installed here, and as you can see, I am connected to my Wi-Fi Skylab 5, and so I'm good to go. And the menu system in Windows 10, the start menu system that is a little bit different, and you can definitely customize the colors and the way this looks, and the way the apps are shaped, medium, large, and whatever. And as you can see here, I went ahead and opened up Microsoft Edge, and I do have access to the internet, so all is good. Alright, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helped you out to learn how to install Microsoft Windows 10 from a bootable flash drive. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like, and leave a like if you like, and remember to share.